Blog Talk Radio.
Why are they taking so long? Oh, my gosh.
I thought we were waiting for the horn to blow.
I know, and it's just spinning. Go ahead.
That's all good. Don't worry about it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate everybody coming on board from Hammer Lane Radio. There goes the horn right now.
It's a delay.
That's all good. Don't worry about it. Appreciate everybody coming on board the brand new FUBAR America radio show, along with me, myself, and I, Mr. Jojo Barreto, with my great host, together with my brother from another mother, Mr. New England Freedom John. How you doing, John?
I'm well, Joe. How are you, bud?
Good, brother. So we are all here. I'm actually here at Joplin Peterbilt getting my truck, but we're going to definitely go out there with try to bring a good show to you guys, and at the same time, we're going to give great thanks to our sponsor, MyRightLoad.com, my friends. MyRightLoad.com is a way of bringing financial freedom back into your pocket, my friends, as you are traveling throughout the highway with the tremendous pushback of all the brokers that continuously keep giving out pathetic rates. Let's just be really honest, my friends. For the amount of money that you will spend in a TA restaurant or a Petro restaurant, $18, my friends, on average, to join MyRightLoad.com, my friends, for 1 year, and for each load, it will be $18 for each load with a new program that is out there for each one of you out there, my friends. Understand, now you can sign up absolutely for free, and it will only be $27 per each load. So I know it sounds really confusing, but we are going to have the Grandmaster, Mr. Matthew Kane, coming on out, and he'll be helping to explain more in details. We got a few other guests, and we're hoping for among a great line of calls for you out there to kind of get to know who we are and what we're all about, and this will be a show among the people. So, John, I just wanted to tell you, one of the things of what we're forming this show for is really because we want to really help build unity and really try to help unify drivers out there. And as me, myself, being an owner-operator for many years, proudly working with Lucille Transport, which I'm very proud of, from my brother from another mother, Billy Olson, and you were also a owner-operator as well, but right now you're working as a company driver. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm a temp driver.
And
do you want me to go further on that one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm right now. I'm just a temp driver. I like being a temp driver because I get to choose and pick when I work and when I don't work. So I have that privilege. It's almost like being an owner operator, but I'm not. I don't quite make the money as an owner operator being a temp driver, but I do well with it. It gives me it gives me an outlook from a different outlook being a temp driver compared to when I was a company driver or an owner operator. So it's kind of something new to me. I guess it's not anymore. Oddly enough, 2 years went by awfully quick with it. It's funny how that happens.
One of the things,
2 years, man.
And one of the things that has been around and existed for a long time, I mean, there's always been some types of animosity, and that's where a lot of people would try to say I'm kind of like being among the bridge builder. And this is one of the biggest bridges that I think we can really build together, because as an owner-operator working for a great company, and then you you are actually doing it because of freedom. That's why we call you New England Freedom, John. How is it, by the way, in Canada, if you don't mind me asking?
How is it what?
How is it up in Canada, by the way? No, I'm only kidding. New Hampshire,
How is it up
Canada.
in Canada? Well, it's been awfully warm lately. It's been 45 degrees today. It's good enough to get out there and barbecue the bacon.
It's a lot warmer than where I'm sitting at right now. Last night's show I was on the Tay and Wee Wee show, and I had to do the show outside for 2 hours because my truck was actually getting worked on. And as soon as I go inside the building, my phone signal will go completely out. So I had to stay outside while it was about 37 degrees doing the show yesterday. But it was a great show. I could never appreciate my great brothers from all the shows on Hammer Lane Radio as well. And that's another thing that we're really trying to help build together on making a building together for everybody out there to be able to talk and concerns of what they are about the trucking industry and concerns about constitutional freedom. And we always say this is the no bash zone. Just like Bill O'Reilly has the no spin zone, this area is the no bash zone. There's only certain parts of what we could bash. Do you know what that is, John, by any chance?
Yeah, man, the FMCSA. We can bash those guys all we want. The ATA, man, you can lay into them all you want. Go ahead. Anybody that wants to call in and talk about the FMCSA, the ATA, and lay into them all you want, go for it. We'd love to hear it. Just don't bash none of the drivers. That's all we're saying.
No other drivers, no other groups. Yeah, and then the main thing, you're forgetting one very, very important part. You see, we don't want to bash. Well, see, we definitely are wanting to bash on the ATA politicians that say stupid things, but most importantly, the Tay and Wee Wee show and maybe Channel 19 while we're at it.
Ha ha! We're encouraging them to bash on Tay and Wee Wee?
Of course, absolutely. We're an equal opportunity offender. We always have to keep going with what we do, my friends. Okay, so any case. We have a caller on the line, don't we, already? Is that amazing enough? Who do we got on the line?
Me?
Hello?
You got Smurf
Yes,
there,
sir.
remember?
Yes. Is that Papa Smurf?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
it is.
What's going on, my brother? How are you doing today?
Oh, just sitting here at the dock waiting on them to do their thing.
Oh, man. Well, you can help join on this conversation, and you can actually help enlighten on some questions I have. Papa Smurf is among the president and CFO among the great organization that he had asked me to come part of for Trucks for Vets, my friends. Trucksforvets.org is an organization that is going to help our veterans obtain their CDL licenses and without having to use not even one single penny of their GI Bill money. And Papa Smurf, you honored me among being a part of this because you gave me the call. You asked me if I could become among the members of the board. That's filed, of course, under a 501c3. And there's been questions that have been lurking around out there about training, but if you have time, we're going to get to that a little later on because there's been always that swirling question about farm milling, and we want to really try to be able to help differentiate all that and define all that and stuff. But we're going to go into one subject to where I've been seeing a lot of posts that have been going on and circulating where people have been really nervous among the elections. Now, I called on Tuesday, and my good brothers on Channel 19 radio, they play on Tuesdays with Ted Williams and Mr. William McKelvey. And I actually stated about how the Democrats were going to win back the House, and it was showing by an 80% margin. Now, I know that being the election has already just passed, and now we've seen the Democrats and the loons have actually come in and take over. And yes, I said that. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. Now a lot of people are very nervous about how the fact that Democrats have taken over because, A, we may have Nancy Pelosi, of course, being Speaker of the House. We're going to probably have Maxine Waters, of course, in charge of the House and Finance Committee. And we're going to have a few other ones out there that we're going to be pretty nervous about. Now, Nancy Pelosi is going to be challenged for that spot, my friends. And I know for many of you, they're very nervous about the fact that how the Democrats have taken over. Now, there'll be changes, of course, throughout all of the committees that are going across the board. But we already had this happen to us for a amount of years. Over how many elections have this happened already, John?
What, every one of them, just about?
Almost.
It's common
Yeah.
when you if you're gonna have a Republican president, it's common that the House will overturn and you're gonna have a Democratic House. It's almost as if the American people seek a balance this way, to make sure there's some sort of opposition, so things slow down a little bit toward involving the legislative process.
One of the things I want you to understand something, my friends. People like President Bush had lost 65 seats during his midterm election. President Obama lost not only the Congress, but even the Senate during his midterm election. Only within the first 2 years in office, he had full control. Okay? It's a check or balance type of system. Can it be a benefit to us? In some ways, yes. Okay? Can it be a hurdle because of how long it will probably take for legislation to go through, because there's going to be a constant bickering and negotiating back and forth? That's what's going to really happen. But the thing is, it's not going to be the end of the world. We're going to see firsthand on what the Democrats are realistically all about among the obstructionists, as among other parties who have been opposite to the president or even to the Senate or even to the Congress have always acted. And that opposition seems to always create what they call the stalemate among policies that would ever come through. And sometimes for policies that may be better, it kind of slows things down a little bit, because we already know how hard government as well as the lobbyists are already working, especially against the trucking industry in itself. But put a little bit of reason behind it. Don't think it's completely the end of the world. So just get a little bit of patience involved with this. Now, one good point is that Mr. Graves is not going to be next in line after Schuster actually leaves in January. Now, depending on who is going to take over that committee, maybe, just maybe, we might have a better chance, positive, and maybe get some more bills pushed through. What do you think, John?
I think we dodged a bullet. If Graves isn't getting it, I think we dodged a bullet. Oh, well, maybe not.
Well,
I mean, we don't know who's going to get it. So who's going to head the subcommittee or the committee? I don't know. But Graves, I didn't feel was good. He's going to be another Schuster stepping up there. He's not known to be very, very trucking friendly.
What do you think, Papa Smurf?
I just try to do my thing. I mean, in all honesty, I get out there, I vote, and in Ohio, unfortunately, I had to vote for a couple guys that doesn't really see eye to eye with trucking, but then again, I haven't gotten into their office yet to meet them. So, well, I'll leave it at that.
It's fair enough. I understand. Now, that's the position that some of us are in when you're in the board, especially for trucksforvets.org. Trucksforvets.org is filed under a 501c3, and the 501c3 process is elected. It sounds familiar to what OIDA is, but OIDA elected to be political. Trucks for Vets has a non-election political column, basically, that they had put in for the organization. The reason why is because they want to remain neutral. They want to do whatever is absolutely possible that is best for our veterans. We can never really appreciate this great organization that's going to be really starting very soon. It's a lot of work involved with it, starting groundbreaking for one, getting insurances, trucks. We've even got some good news. I mean, I don't mean to put you in the spot there, but we even got a new member, the new certified trainer, if you don't mind coming out with that one. Papa Smurf?
Yes. I'm meeting with him on Saturday there, and then we're going to bring him in for a board meeting and stuff, and hopefully we can resolve and bring him on board and stuff, and, it's looking up for us. Talked to the IRS yesterday. They still have not assigned us a caseworker yet, so they've got till December 18th, and that's our deadline. So once we have our 501c3 number and stuff, we can really start, I didn't really want to take any money or anything like that until we are a full certified, 501c3. That way all the accounting's in place. There's no, the board makes 99% of the decisions. So it's not just one person, trying to do this.
Well, that's actually being responsible, because there's been other organizations that we're not going to name that really have taken certain amount of money. They've been already established. They already got their EIN numbers and everything else. And next thing you know, they've misappropriated those funds. And I think it's honorable, because you're showing right up the bat among being trustworthy of saying we're not taking nothing yet. We have a donation column online for trucksforvets.org, and we really appreciate anybody that can help contribute. But that would be only among the startup costs and among future costs. But yet, we're being careful among getting our donations lined out. Now, you're working pretty hard among obtaining property and everything else situated so we can get our first school rolling out, preferably in Ohio, and preferably in the Columbus, Ohio area. So it's kind of a shout out to anybody in that area that may know somebody there that could be able to get in contact with Papa Smurf over here, Mr. Terry Hall, by the way. So we're gonna drop the CB handle mic. We're gonna make sure we get Mr. Terry Hall's name out there for real, so that way they can get in direct contact with him. And the website is trucksforvets.org, my friends. It's a great organization. It's going to help raise the bar of training. And training has been an issue among the trucking industry for many years. There have been great people that have gone to D.C., to the Labor Department, and I can only appreciate that very much, in discussion heavily about training. And, it's without a doubt foremost one of the top 5 reasons of what many of us are fighting for the industry. And I know for many people, like I said, they're just extremely worried about now that Congress has changed hands to the other side. I look at it as an opportunity. I look at it as where there has probably been more blood that's been taken out that needs new blood to come in, and those among the establishment entitlement. Now, yes, unfortunately, there are Democrats that are in there, okay? Well, that might make Todd Campbell real happy, but he ain't aware or not. He's angry anyway. Sorry, John.
Well, we're not going to just raise the bar. We're going to blow that bar right out of the water. I mean, what I want to accomplish is improving the industry, and the only way we can do that is if we get good quality trained drivers, that work for a decent salary, or, to bring the new blood into the trucking industry instead of, I'm having too many guys. I run at night. I've got too many guys that are in my lane half the time. They just can't stay in their lane for some reason. The guys we train will be able to back up. They will know what they're doing.
They'll receive consistent training even after, let's say if they needed up to 6 months worth of training. And if they were lined up with a job as well, which, Lucille will definitely help, and I'm sure we'll have other companies that will come and help as well in giving them job placement among their choice, whether if they wanted to be local, regional, or over the road. But they would get a continuous training if they were to come on board with Lucille, and that's something that's very important. They're not going to be left alone, and they're not going to be taken advantage of by the mega carriers, which I can only appreciate very much on that one. And you know how I personally feel about the mega carriers and the ATA as well.
Well, there's a lot of companies out there that have very good training programs. Okay, but we're not a puppy mill. We just strictly want to train them, give them the amount of time. If somebody needs extra help take the extra time. Take the extra fuel. Practice backing up. Practice to where you can blindside in. Know what you're doing behind that wheel. Know that any situation you're in, that you're able to back out of without tearing up the equipment. That's what I want to accomplish.
So, as I already reiterated about my feelings about the ATA, some of you guys will probably want to know how come I have a lot of hatred towards the ATA, and I ain't going to be afraid to say it. But in the last election alone, money has dropped off by a certain percentage. Sorry about that, guys. By a certain percentage, basically, from the last contribution. In the 2016 election, there was about over $6.5 million that was donated into the ATA, from the ATA into campaign contributions in itself, as well as many other outlets of the mega carriers and everything else out there. So this time we are seeing about $5.7 million just in midterm election alone that was donated to this election, and just over $650,000 by itself coming through from the ATA itself. We could take a guess who probably was one of the biggest receivers of those contributions, and he happens to be in California. Who do you think that is, John?
You talking about Denham?
Exactly.
Yeah,
right on the
no
T.
surprise there.
No surprise. And you want to take the next guess and who is the second biggest receiver? Mr. Graves himself.
Mr. Graves.
Was it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No surprise there either,
the next that would be possibly in line after Schuster, who has held back H.R. 3282, that's actually still sitting, honestly, on H.R. 5948 and H.R. 5949. And this is the type of pushback that we need to realistically do out there. Hey, John, if you don't mind, give Papa Smurf an idea just on the ELD itself, where it had originally designated from, like that information that you found out about, for instance, on why the ELD itself was in place and how they do it under regulatory rule under the 49 CFR.
You mean how it was introduced, or? I mean, it was put in place. Well, obviously, it was put in place to make money. Is why it was put in place. I mean, they had to create the Transparency Act of 2012 for senators and congressmen or government officials to disclose their investments because they're making money off the regulations that they're passing, and that's what the ELD ended up being is a means for them to make buku bucks. I mean, you're talking about $1 billion industry, and members of Congress are making a chunk off that. According to the FMCSA, they wanted it so they can prove the hours of service doesn't work, which seems contradictory to me, because if the ELD is supposed to save 26 lives a year, then how do they justify saying that when they created the hours of service rules that they claim don't work? But I'm not sure I'm answering your question here, Joe. What exactly? I think you got get a little more cute on your question.
I'm sorry, guys. Just give me 1 second. I'm trying to actually pay my bill over here at Joplin Peterbilt. But for instance, when the actual measure was in place, and when any type of regulatory rule was actually put in place, caused financial hardship to the public. Remember the $1.5 billion?
The Unfunded Mandate Act. You're talking
Yes,
about the Unfunded Mandate Act is
that's correct.
Is I think $150 million. If it causes a hardship in excess of $150 million to the industry that they are regulating, then they're not supposed to put that regulation into effect, or they have to fund it. They have to cover the cost in excess of $150 million. According to the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, they justified the Unfunded Mandate Act by saying it's offset by saving in paper. I don't know exactly how they determined that because they didn't put anything in there to describe how they justified it. They just simply said, well, we justify the cost because we're saving money in paper. So I don't think they justified anything, to be honest with you. I think they just made a vague statement and everybody just accepted it.
And it worked in the same way for the undercarriage guards as well, where the potential cost savings of what they're trying to justify it for is about 0.20 cents per mile on the fuel cost.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they're saying. Is you're going to save. Was it 20 cents a mile or 20 something like that? 20 cents a mile, or 20% in fuel cost.
I'm sorry. It was 0.20 cents a mile that they were trying to save, but overall, what they were trying to actually justify that for in the public. Okay. What they were trying to justify that to for the public itself was mainly because of logbooks. The justification basically for anybody to not have to buy a logbook is the reason why we justify it to have under an ELD mandate. I'm going to put you on mute real quick so the background noise don't interrupt you. So I'm sorry, brother.
All right.
If I'm not,
go ahead.
If I'm not mistaken, is not UPS. They're still on paper logs because it would cause due hardship to their company to forward all these tablets and stuff that we have to carry.
No, I think they got an exemption. What they got an exemption for is they don't have to hook their logs up to the truck directly. So they can mark themselves. They can be inside the building and mark themselves into a change of duty status inside the building because they're not specifically assigned to a truck. So for them to have to run out to each truck and log in and log out of each truck whenever they change trucks because of the slip seating, that it was a hardship in that regard. So they can carry their tablets and have tablets assigned to them. And then they just mark in the truck inside the tablet and stuff, what truck they're taking at whatever time and all that good stuff.
Oh, okay.
That exemption was also in place because of the fact of slip seating from one truck to another. And they could not necessarily be able to travel among one device to another. There's other carriers in that same situation as well that have that same type of exemption under the device exemption, if I remember correctly.
I think quite a few of them maybe utilizing that one. Now I know of one that they do the same thing. They almost look like little cell phones they carry with them, and they carry them on their person. They're not hooked to the truck. However, when I talked to Wiley Deck about this about a year ago, it'd be a year in December, I guess, and he told me that all ELDs had to be mounted to the dash or permanently mounted to the vehicle. But I guess except for in regard to that exemption, which seems strange to me. Why hand out an exemption that these few guys can carry it on their person and everybody else has to mount it, hard mount it to their vehicle? It doesn't make sense. It's ridiculous.
It has to be within plain visible sight of the driver.
Yeah, it does. So it's these things, they talk about distracted and driving. I got a video I recorded some time ago. I was working as a temp driver. I was working for a company that uses the automatic onboard recording devices, and they'd malfunction all the time. And I had one time, it was nighttime, and it was malfunctioning, and the screen kept going back to a restart. And so I finally video recorded it on my cell phone because of how bright it is inside the truck. It's a distraction. It's flickering. It's flashing. It's going through different sequences, and it's illuminating the whole interior of the cab, which is irritating to the eyes to me. But I don't understand the justification of forcing people to use electronic logging device when they're going to malfunction in such a way. They're going to create a distraction inside the cab while the driver's going down the road at night.
Makes it harder to see from the glare.
Yeah, exactly. It lights up inside the truck. It glares off the inner glass, and it's not pleasant. Not to mention that too many people have gotten tickets since they started enforcing these things, and for stupid things like the thing putting them back into driving mode when they were off duty and inside a motel room. I got a guy. He sent me his motel receipts, his ticket, and everything. When I went to see Ted Cruz, I took that in a packet. I put that in a packet to show him how it's adversely affecting drivers. So he goes and gets a motel room while he's inside there, and a lot of people have told me this has happened to them. I think they actually had some write-ups about it in magazines. Is while they're off duty and they're sleeping either in their bunk or they're in a motel room, the thing kicks itself back into driving mode on them. So when they get up in the morning, they look like they've been on duty for the last 25 hours.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. It's quite funny because even though I love my brothers and sisters over here in Joplin, Peterbilt, they were telling me I'm all done, and they forgot one very valuable thing that they got to apply to my new seat that I just bought. Of course, it's my seatbelt buckle. My seatbelt buckle. Oh. That would be a definite violation if I wore it around.
You don't. What are you going to use a seatbelt buckle for? You ain't got no kids at the beach.
Well,
what's going on here?
Well, there's a law, John, that says it requires you to have a seatbelt inside your truck. And then, of course, it's always good to have one side of the buckle that you can pull down into. But you need the actual buckle that's on the seat to clip your seatbelt into.
Yeah, tie it around a gear shift.
You ever wear your seatbelt? You're driving down the road, bouncing around the air seat. You hit a bump, and the thing locks up, and about halfway, coming down, when it locks up, and you're hung up there, and you're sitting there fighting a seatbelt, driving down the road at 70 miles an hour.
You know what's amazing is that how much money I actually spend over here in Joplin. It'll be a lot easier if I just go to the casino and just throw my money away.
Oh no. You're not getting no new air ride seat out of a casino. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, I know. The only winning money you're going to ever get is out of the ATM machine. I understand, but that's all right.
It's the only thing that dispenses cash.
Yep. Sorry, guys. There's a truck behind me that's starting up. I hope you guys don't hear it. I have that new Drive Pro Rand McNally Bluetooth mount on my head. So, like I said, we're all truck drivers that travel on the road. We work hard for what we do, and you know, I just got a hold of my bill, and boy, did I just felt like grabbing two cheeks out of me and spread them out apart, and just walking like really cockeyed right now after just getting the bill repair on this one. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough when it comes to be a truck driver. What's interesting, though, and what I want to even share out there is that Joplin Peterbilt, even though they're good people, I really like these guys. I bought all my trucks to these guys, and I'm not trying to give them a free shameless plug, but I have to. But it's actually something really important. They are now open 24 hours, Monday through Friday, which a lot of people don't know about. They used to close all the time at midnight, and so now they're open 24 hours, Monday through Friday, and they're closed on Saturdays at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And, I mean, they open until Saturdays at 4, and then they close on Sundays. So Monday through Friday, open 24 hours over here at Joplin, which can be pretty beneficial when you need a Peterbilt part. What's amazing is that when I was talking to the dealer, to the management, I was seeing nothing but used trucks and not a single brand new truck sitting here. They're about at least 3 months behind before they would even get a brand new truck into this dealership. And every truck that they have right now, they're all used. And they're all mainly from Prime and Hurricane. They're nice. They're okay. But if you want to get a brand new truck out of Joplin, it's going to take a while because on average, Peterbilt right now is producing almost nearly 138 trucks a month. And I mean, out of a GDP right now at 4%, and you go and look at the load board and you see the most pathetic rates. Somebody was telling me today that they saw nearly only 44 cents a mile on the load board. How in the world can anybody live or even drive a load at 44 cents a mile? Can you understand that?
I would rather just sit there and not move my truck, dude. You're not going to make. You're not only not making money, you're costing yourself money to run for that. You're not. You can't run in the red.
Yeah, but you got to ask this question though. And this is the question that I got to ask. Okay, the economy is running good. We're at a 4% GDP growth. Okay, trucks are selling left and right out of almost all the dealers. I'm seeing trucks running around all over the place. Cost basically when it comes to in the shop, which I got to say, at least at Joplin, they're quite reasonable. But on average, they go from $130 an hour all the way up to even $169 an hour, depending on what dealership you go to and what area. And they're not getting any cheaper. Oil prices, fuel prices, everything is not getting any cheaper. But do we know what's getting cheaper? Our rates.
Yeah.
And what's really wrong, above all, is that we are not fighting for what we are absolutely worth. If that's one thing that we should all be together on, we should be telling these brokers plain and simply, just give that big middle finger right up in the air and say, we're no longer taking any of your cheap freight. What do you think, John?
I agree. You got to. You know, I've known guys that would deadhead home. That's what they do. They figure if they're going to run the red and they're going to take a beating, they're going home to take a beating because at least they can get a nice hot tub. They can be with their wife. They can get a hot dinner, fresh cooked, every day that they're at home. Why take a beating out on the road? It's just costing you more money to sit there. If you're going to run in the red, just take it home and park it.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, my dear.
I believe Mr. Kane is in the house. He hasn't pushed one. I think he needs to push one unless he's on the board. I don't think he is. But I think that's him anyway. Let me click on and find out if it's Matt or not.
Yet. It's all good. This is kind of like a get-to-know show.
Yeah, because you wanted to talk about myrightload.com. So
without a doubt.
When he's ready, he can push the button.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Well, any case, I appreciate it, my dear. Nobody hardly ever needs the great introduction of Miss Arlene Bennett and how much we appreciate everything that she does. We really appreciate her being part of our team. When I called and asked her if she would help produce the show, she was just like, 1, 2, 3, not a problem. And this is really a show, guys, for you all just to kind of get to know us and know what our format's going to be. But believe me, the next shows that are going to be coming up are going to be very exciting. We're going to have attorneys. We're going to have we got a good guest list lined up, and we can never be more thankful to Matthew Kane, especially for MyRightLoad.com, my friends. That really helps a lot among all of the shows that we have here on the Hammer Lane Broadcast Network. And for this show today to be new, like I said, it's just really trying to help bring what I really like seeing so far on the social media side is how everybody is putting the badges up, standing as one. And standing as one is one of the most important things. Fighting for what we are worth should be among the top priority above all, of standing as one, because I am hearing nothing but from so many people that have been messaging me and calling me and talking to me that the rates have been so pathetic. There is no consistency, to be honest. I mean, could somebody tell me, have there been really any consistency on the broker board? That would be my question of the day for anybody out there. Has there been any consistency out of the years and years that you've been driving, unless you've had a direct customer, or if you have just worked solidly in one type of business, or if you've gained among a special niche market, like myself and a few others that I've talked to, and I'm very happy for them because they're about the only ones that have seen that consistency. And you see, if we don't make that dollar, then we lose among the passion of what we do, because all we are doing this for is simply to just be able to make enough money to take care of our families and better their lives like we should. And we should do that freely and independently without any problem. Part is, as we've seen this election, as we've seen how the markets were appreciated to the fact that we got a 4.0% GDP index, we see businesses selling products left and right. There is a high demand and not so much of a great supply. But for many youths, you continuously keep accepting, and I keep hearing this all the time on the phone, well, it will get me from point A to point B. No, you're taking a load for just a tank of fuel and a cup of coffee to get you from point A to point B, or even just to get you home. And what that does is that puts that information in the index among the broker system for their analytics. And so when the next person that calls in for a load, because so many people do it that way, that reduces van lane pay. This is one of the reasons why, my friends, if we don't stand our ground, fight truly for what we are worth, financially is the key among all. And that's what we do this for. Don't allow these brokers to continuously keep pushing you around. And when there's a service that is available to you, right in hand, that can get you directly to the shipper and the receiver, that can actually, it's an actual change and revolution among the industry in itself. In a number of years, I don't think broker freight is going to realistically exist the way how it is right now. It's going to be a huge change in this market. And they're going to take advantage of all the information that we place into the data and how we really accept it. You, my friends, are the deciding factor on how you contribute to the industry. That's where you have to stand your ground with these brokers that continuously harm our industry. Now, not all brokers are bad, but there's not enough, very little of them, to just even serve a 44-cent a mile rate out there. Just to even say that's what the rate pays, that's what the van lane pays. You are the ones that should be the dictators among how much that van lane pays, not the brokers. You are the ones that should dictate that, my friends. That's all I could ever tell you. John, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go in that long rant, but I just feel very passionate.
That's all right. That's all right. I liked it. I enjoyed hearing it. And you're,
Well, I can honestly,
you know, and drivers really have got to learn to. I was listening to a program not too long ago, and somebody was talking about the broker boards, the boards for brokers themselves, and how they have gotten notice that there were more trucks than loads, and that they should cut the rates. When in actuality there was more loads than trucks, so they were being misinformed purposely to try to drive the rates down. And I think drivers need to understand this actually happens. People do this sort of thing because they want to keep more money in their pockets. And
well, you know what's sad,
for that change things, drivers have got to stand up for themselves. And by using Matthew's board, isn't that what they're doing when it's shipper direct?
Yes. You know, the thing is, if you don't take advantage of an opportunity to get into a special niche market, then you're going to be behind the 8 ball. And I can tell you right now, time is just within the essence of what people have to really look into. Now, I understand it can be difficult to just honestly approach a customer and say, I'm this person. But see, that's what MyRightLoad.com has done. They've done all that work for you. And the future technology of what that system is going to introduce, especially within the next 2 or 3 months, it's going to save you time. Time is just, if not, is even more important than a way of money, because money, you know, you can get it returned to you or you can exchange it, but you can never get time back. And when you're sitting in that dock for 5, 6, or 7 hours in itself, and you're not hardly getting, you get your detention time out of it, but I've noticed that a lot of the drivers out there, they would have to fight tooth and nail to just get that little bit of detention time. And there's a way under My Right Load that you can actually negotiate your detention time. But getting the information ahead of time of knowing how long you could sit there from the history that when all the trucks that go into these locations, that can also save you a great amount of time. And you could pre-plan ahead for yourself to get the next load. So, I mean, I'm not trying to push for it, guys. I'm only trying to help. I mean, our company, Billy Olson started this company about 12 years ago. And me and Billy, we both shared a truck, literally, to start this company. And by every partner that we have, for all the years of absolute hard work, we're proud at this time to have about 33 trucks underneath our fleet. It took a lot of work, and we had to make it through not only the Bush years, the Obama years, especially throughout the entire Obama administration. This is what I'm saying. Everybody's all getting nervous. They're throwing the hats down. I understand you being upset because, the change of power in Congress, but yet we built this business through the entire Obama administration years. This is why I'm saying, don't give it up. Don't throw your hats down, my friends. Think and use the strategy that you have in hand, because I'm telling you, you have to gain your financial power, and you have to get divulged into that CFR 49. And there's a lot of people that would be complaining a lot about, for instance, that there's no transparency. Well, here's a little tidbit to tell you where you can learn about getting transparency out from the brokers. Under the CFR 49, under Section 371, read into that piece of information that I can give to you guys. And I've noticed that some people who have messaged me, and I appreciate that very much, have been saying, and I actually can really appreciate that people are getting it, but there's not enough. That CFR 49, my friends, is the true key. If you really divulge yourself into that information, we can make a great change. And we got to give support to those organizations that are out there. Now, I'm not picking sides on organizations. In this show, we will remain neutral, which is very important. But that doesn't mean we can't give appreciation for all of the great and hard, dedicated work. I always give my appreciation to truckernation.org for everything what they do. I give our appreciation to the United States Transportation Alliance for all of the great hard work they're doing. And I give all the appreciation to every group that's out there. Those two, or other groups as well, they make trips almost every month, once a week, to D.C. It's a lot of money and a lot of time. Time that they can't get back. time as drivers like me and you all are, that if you think you could set 1 week aside, think of it this way. To get a load that would pay worth their while to get out of, they could be sitting there for 8 or 9 days or even 2 weeks. And some of them have, unfortunately, in D.C., in order to get the right load that they're worth. Because why? They took the time off to defend and give among our constitutional right. And that's one of the reasons why we should appreciate the dedicated hard work that they have done for us. There's even been people that have done this even beforehand. And I want to really give one thing is definitely for certain. A lot of great appreciation and recognize that, this night that we have taken upon this show as the first night, we understand this was actually Scott Reed's show, the Ghost Rider himself. And he will always have a great honorary seat here. Whatever time that he ever wants to come on, talk about anything. And, we'll always recognize this. But one thing we have to do, my friends, is most importantly, we got to give prayers to Mr. Scott Reed and to his lovely wife that's unfortunately right now in the hospital. And she's got to remain in the hospital for a long period of time because she had lost a lot of weight, I believe, on the birth weight, if I remember correctly on that, John, if you don't mind helping me out on that.
Oh, why she's in the hospital?
Yeah.
Or her water prematurely broke.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't want to say nothing.
They have to take measures to make sure that that the baby continues to grow in the womb and stuff. Because the longer the baby's in the womb, the more the lungs will grow, and the better and the stronger and the healthier the baby will be, as opposed to having a premature birth.
We can only ask everybody to give.
We're praying hard for Scott and his wife that they do well in this particular time in their life, because it's pretty high risk, I think.
It's a very high risk. I can only be really more appreciative enough, especially with talking with a lot of the great group leaders that are out there. I'm not going to put no names because as soon as I drop one name, the sad thing is, why are you talking that? Why are you talking that? The point is, that's the type of thing that has to just be realistically dropped. We got to set aside the differences among the past and bring the future ahead of us. And that's what this show is all about. And we want to give prayers and good appreciation for those. And like I said, Scott Reed, you always absolutely have an honorary seat here. We have always recognized that Thursdays, as well as when he used to be on Thursdays and Mondays, we can only appreciate all the times that he had been on, trying to give a good laugh, a good information, just helping everybody and the concerns among the industry. There's a lot that man has realistically done that not many people know about that I would love to say on the air, to be fair and honest, that I think it's only within his time. He's not being prideful about it, but he deserves a lot of great credit and respect. And he participated in 10-4 in D.C. as well. And he stood very well for us. Him and Todd Campbell and so many others, all the groups, all the organizations. And John, you were in Operation Black and Blue. What was the most memorable thing about Operation Black and Blue itself after that was done?
The most memorable thing, I think it was the brotherhood. The thing about it is we were standing up for our rights, and we did a lot of interesting things there. We were on bullhorns. We got into the FMCS building. Great stuff happened. It really did. A lot of people like to talk it down, but a lot of great stuff really happened. But I think the most interesting thing was how all the trucks come in. We had 80-something trucks came in together in unity. Grown men and women, truck drivers, stood there together in unity. We had true brotherhood happening again. And I think we do bicker amongst ourselves, but I think we got a lot of common ground in this. And we just got to learn to put our differences aside, but we do have our brotherhood. It is here. And people have to understand everything that's happened since that time when ELD or me, Operation Black and Blue went to D.C. on October 2017. We have covered so much ground. We've gained a lot of ground. And people don't realize that. They keep saying, we got to work harder. We got to do more. We got to do more. It's true. We do need to work harder. We need to continue to fight. And the key to success is persistence. We have to be very persistent to win. We cannot win this overnight, but we can win this as long as we're persistent. And I made that declaration before. We are going to win. It's just a matter of how much and what we're going to win. But as long as we're persistent, and the more we can put our differences aside and work together on this and learn our skill sets, we can accomplish more great things. But right now, what I think people need to do is sit back and reflect on how much ground they've actually covered since day one, because there's a lot more than you realize. I mean, we got people right now representing us with the FMCSA, truck drivers. That was one of our demands. Truck drivers need representation. We don't need to hear any more about the Mix Act with the ex-law enforcement officers and the big corporate trucking companies, the presidents and the trucking heads in there, and the ATA and they're representing us, and the safety advocacy groups getting a seat at the Mix Act table. We need truck drivers representing truck drivers in there, and we got it. It took us less than a year, and we got that. We got a lot of ground covered. And it's time, no need to break our arms over our back, patting ourselves on the back, but we need to recognize what we've accomplished. We did that. All of us did that. Not one of us, all of us. So there's no use bickering and fighting because we still accomplished the goal. Imagine what we could do if we stopped bickering and fighting. Imagine what we do if we actually started communicating together and stopped getting so guarded against one another and stood up together in a brotherhood. That's about all I think to say on that, Joe.
Oh, I appreciate that. I was letting you go with that one for sure. Just give me 1 second.
I was just sitting here thinking what Matthew is doing with the My Right Load, that is going to revolutionize the trucking industry. For all the brokers that are out there, they're going to have to straighten up their act because the shippers will be posting loads on there for the owner-operators to pick up. I mean, that's with what he's doing with the technology and everything else.
Oh, yeah, he's introducing new technology and stuff that's going to better that program. But when you look at what brokers are taking, 30 up to 40% of a load, if a load pays $2,000 and they're taking 40%, right off the top, that's $800. You're getting $1,600 for a load. Why are you only getting $1,600?
Because that broker's got to make a living now. He needs at least $500 to $600 of that $1,600 for his overhead.
Yeah, but
the brokers, as far as I'm concerned, they got a lot of straightening up to do. There are some good, but there's a lot of mischievous brokers out there that don't even have the money in the bank to pay for the load whenever they book it. And that's something there that the FMCA they're supposed to be doing something about.
Now, have you ever known any truth in the double brokering or multi-brokering?
Oh, there's several of it going on.
I've heard a lot of in-house brokering where, you got a company that's got multiple brokers, agents. That's what they like to call them. They're previously small fleet owners that come into a company, they brought some trucks or something, and then they're passing around the same load. I can't cover it. Oh, give it to me. And everyone takes a cut off the top every time they pass it down to the next guy.
Yes. I mean, me, myself, I'm a company driver now. So, I don't have to worry about that. My paycheck's there on Friday. So it's a lot less stress. You don't have to worry about a lot of different things, but, you still got to keep your equipment up that you drive. And a lot of these companies out there have a hard time doing that now. I don't understand why, but they do.
It's like I was complaining to somebody about windshield wipers, the blades. And how many times have I gotten into a truck and the first thing happens when you kick them on, it starts raining, you kick them on, and all of a sudden there's this big blur in front of you. I'm thinking to myself, why is it every trucking company I had to work for, I have to go in there and chase after them for new windshield wiper blades? Why aren't they just replacing them like every oil change or something? They're going to need it anyway. And they know they're going to need it, and it seems like it would be a safer thing to do to change them. They're not that expensive. Change them instead of making me have to chase after them.
Hey, John.
Well?
Yes?
Okay, I want to get back to something that JoJo was talking about earlier, the ELDs, electronic logs. There was two gentlemen that are hackers, that were on CBS this morning, and there is not one electronic anything that they can hack everything. So, I hear these drivers say we're full of it when we're saying they can't be hacked. But they can be hacked and they can be controlled. They can put your brakes on. They can do everything to that truck, anything they want to do. I don't think they can take over the steering, but, and they just did a thing about the pumps and stuff that are in people's bodies and the heart monitors and all, and they can control them. They can give them an overdose of medicine or an underdose, or they can kick that monitor off and the person could die. So they've proven it, and I just wanted to, I meant to jump in there earlier to tell him that, but I thought that was kind of pathetic that people do stuff like that. But it worries me now that I know for a fact that the trucks can be hacked, and that could be the reason why some of these trucks are wrecking.
You're getting basically right up where John Daly's specialty realistically comes to when it really comes just to that alone. And John, I do apologize. I apologize to the audience as well. Like I said, my truck's in the shop, and there's another issue that's going on electronically, by the way. And so just bear with me, and I do apologize for that. But, John, if you can handle that one, because that's really all you right there. You know all about that.
Let me read this. Let me read this to you guys. This comes from an autonomous symposium. Elaine Chao gave a speech at an autonomous vehicle symposium on July 10th of this year. And in that speech, there's a paragraph here that says cybersecurity is a major concern. The hacking of autonomous vehicle software could result in privacy violations, theft, or even the acquisition of a vehicle by terrorists. Some recommend the DOT develop a cybersecurity concept of operations and lead information sharing among stakeholders. She just admitted that autonomous vehicles can be hacked. I can go to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, pull up a page. In fact, I think I got it here. Best practices, cybersecurity best practices. I found this quite some time ago. This is on the FMCSA page. Heavy vehicle fleet operators routinely integrate a variety of aftermarket electronic systems into the trucks and buses they operate. Such systems include telematics units, navigation, infotainment, vehicle diagnostics, cargo monitoring, and vehicle anti-theft systems, as well as a variety of driver monitoring, crash avoidance, and other systems that may aid in compliance or operation of the vehicle. Often these devices and systems are integrated into the vehicle's electrical architecture, including potential linkages with the vehicle's CAN data bus. They're talking about the electronic control module for the engines and stuff, or the engine control modules. Driver display systems or other electronic subsystems on the vehicle. Further, the aftermarket telematic devices themselves. Telematic devices are your ELD, okay? Themselves will often incorporate a wireless or wired connection, or perhaps a manual input interface that allows for connecting the device to its intended interface entity. Such interfaces, with their integration into the vehicle's electronic systems, offer a potential cyber vulnerability or a point of entry that may allow bad actors to gain access first to the aftermarket system, not your ELD, and then subsequently to the vehicle's control subsystems, including driver interface, braking, throttle, and or steering system. Such connections may possibly be hacked to allow malicious attacks such as retrieving proprietary data stored on the vehicle or creating congestion on the vehicle's networks. Now, think about that. Proprietary data, they're talking about your personal information. The OIDA sued the FMCSA in court for your right to privacy. They're admitting the ability for you to be hacked and have a violation of privacy. They're in writing at the FMCSA's website. They know it. They know your vehicle can be hacked. They know your vehicle can be taken control of. They already know it. And they base it on the NHTSA's 22-page report on cybersecurity issues and vulnerabilities. So, yeah. Your vehicle can be hacked. Your vehicle can be overtaken, and the Department of Transportation knows it. They know it, and they force you to use an electronic logging device. I've been sitting on that one for months.
I think the only reason they're not getting rid of them is because too many of them in the Senate, in D.C., FMCSA included, have probably had stock in these ELDs.
You're precisely right. You're precisely correct. That's exactly what has happened. A lot of people think about it. It's a business building concept, because not only do the ELD manufacturers make money, not do the sellers make money, but the manufacturers of the software, the what do they call it? Silicon Valley down over there in California and stuff. People that are manufacturing the components for these are making money off these things so they can be built. The software programmers make money. Oh, by the way, if you are hacked, there's no event recording data. There is no means to record that you've been hacked, that an event has occurred. Therefore, if you were hacked and your steering is taken over and you run that truck, or that truck is run off the road into oncoming traffic and it kills people, guess who's to blame? You, the driver. Because there's no recording to prove that it's been hacked. Therefore, they're going to come after you and go, "What'd you do? Fall asleep behind the wheel?"
A lot of information when it comes to that. And there's a lot to realistically absorb. And it winds up being just a billion-dollar industry created off the backs of all of our drivers. Whether they're owner-operator or company driver, doesn't make any difference. It's just a billion-dollar industry supported mainly by the mega carriers, and when it comes to even certain ELD manufacturers, which I'm going to be very careful to say. You know, if I did my own videoing, I would say who it is, but on this format, I'm going to be careful. But with billions of dollars from multi-billion-dollar corporations, and a lot of them have to do with where they situate. My closest hint to say, right at Silicon Valley in itself, and a tremendous lobby effort where, like I said, in the first election, we've dipped. Basically, there's been about 6 million just dumped among the trucking industry alone. And it's not just the ATA, even though the ATA is the number one lobbyist among all, where they dip at least over $600,000 into every politician's pocket. But you're also talking about the mega carriers in general. You're talking about some of the manufacturers that happen to be right here now, and all of them. The lowest contribution, unfortunately, was the OOIDA, and the OOIDA had put basically about $114,000 into lobby effort alone, onto both sides of the political spectrum in itself. And that, my friends, is one of the reasons where lobbying among itself has grown since 2014 by over 500%. And this is the type of financial power that we are realistically up against. So, I mean, it's not so much where if we don't attain our own true financial power by what every mile we drive, by every waking second of what we do, if we don't look forward among that, up against a huge multi-million-dollar power. Now, remember, we are 90% now, according to Mr. Martinez. We are 90% of the, even though they've calculated all of that between small owner-operators that are within 5 trucks or less, some within 10 trucks or less, some within the medium size, which I don't even think personally they have it correct on the medium category in itself. I think really a medium category among trucking industry is about 200 or less. But one of the biggest powerhouses where they have merged with another particular trucking company has now over 20,000 units among the representation of that 12% of mega carriers. They used to have 16,000 units, but since they merged with that little big company that we always like to pick on in our little favorite pages, but they have grown. And right now they're at $6.9 billion of worth value. So believe me, if you don't have that financial power to back on what you are going to say or do, now we ultimately do have that power. Like I said, 90% of that industry, if we can all collaboratively work together. That's the key point.
That's what it takes, and I've said that before. I've been on Matthew Kane's show in the past after we went, Operation Black and Blue, and I said that we can be our own lobby, but we need the numbers to do it. It's difficult sometimes to get the word out there. It's difficult to get people to listen to what we have to say. It's a lot to take in, and a lot of people don't want to leave their comfort zone, and that's what they're required to do to hear this.
Well, unity in the industry has been lacking for quite a while. But
well, it has.
we can all work together. I mean, it's just a matter of getting the word out, being consistent, and staying together.
Well, to define a truck driver, what are we? We're the most independent, free-minded people on the planet. We spend our time in solitude. We're not accustomed to working together or being together. We're very into. I mean, that's just the nature of the job, and that's what makes the job so attractive to many of us. Is nobody in the old days, man, it was great because it was just a delegation of work. John, can you do this run? I got this run here going to such a place. Can you get that done for me? Well, yeah, man, send that information over. I'll handle it. And that was it. All you had to do was your daily check calls, and you were gone. You planned it yourself. You did it yourself. You operated it yourself. If you had a breakdown, you fixed it yourself. It was complete and total 100% independence. And now we're in a situation where we've all come together trying to work on a cause, and we don't know how. Because we're so used to being independent. We're so used to not have to depend on each other. We're so used to thinking for ourselves. And when somebody comes along and says, hey, guys, if we do this, it's like, shut up. We're making our own plans. We don't want to hear that. It's everybody wants to keep that independence. You can't do that in this environment. We got to learn to work together. We got to learn to communicate. We got to learn to compromise and accept that we don't have all the answers. No one man's an island. Did we lose Joe by any chance?
Sounds like it.
No, guys, you didn't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There's just an issue with my truck right now. I apologize.
All right, you're all right, man. We just when you got quiet, I was like, because Joe and I talk quite a bit on the phone, and he every once in a while he drops off or something. I'm over here on a rant, and I find out he's
No, it's all good. No, and I really appreciate it, and I'm very sorry about it. It's just like my truck's in the shop right now. I was just about ready to pull it out of the garage. As soon as I was pulling it out of the garage, then all of a sudden the code came out. So before I even pull it out, they got to settle that code because they ran through the rack of my motor.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I was in Joplin for about 2 days. I've spent nearly almost over $5,000 of maintenance work, and all of it maintenance work. And that doesn't even include the other $4,000 that I spent in Oregon just to winterize the truck. And these are the things that, a lot of us got to take into consideration. Yeah, I appreciate and love the truck I have, but just within, a matter of a week and a half, we're talking a little over $9,000 of money spent in order to just keep up with the truck. And believe me, it's a long list of stuff and what I've done. Very big long list of stuff. But if you don't take those type of figures into consideration, that they'll come up at you, then you're wondering if your motor actually just comes up and blows right up on you within 2 or 3 years, which granted, they're not making it like they used to anymore. But this is where it can put you dead in the water in a heartbeat. And right now, I got an engine code coming up, guys. Try to take care of it. So I'm trying to keep the background noise from the shop, and they're turning wrenches here, and they're doing their little cat call type of thing. I don't want to keep it clean on the radio as well. So I do apologize for going on mute and back and forth. So
they're running a typical shop over there, huh?
Well, yeah, they are. They're working people. Like, I appreciate everything they're doing. But, it's just one of those circumstances where I was supposed to have been out of here like 2-3 hours ago, and unfortunately it's not happening. And that's what we all go through when we're running all over the country like this. So just give me 1 second, guys, and I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah, he said something that's a little disheartening to hear, it seems to me the old mechanical motors were nice enough, especially that 3406 Cat, that B model Cat. Man, what a magnificent motor. I like the come-alongs. They weren't bad. The old big cam Cummins were pretty nice motors. But it seems like when they went into the N14 Cummins and the C-Cap motors and stuff, they really got some nice motors. They're very durable, long-lasting, a lot of high mileage out of them. And now I hear these guys talking about these new motors and with this DEF systems and stuff that I don't know if it's the back pressure on them or what's going on, but they're just blowing heads out of them and tearing up left and right. It's kind of like technology's come back to bite them in the rear end.
There's too much restriction in the motor. You know, I mean, this is a rumor. I'm not saying it's true or not. I mean, I've heard only this rumor that the developer and engineer of EGR on the Cummins motors literally had to walk out when they decided to try to develop into DPF and DEF because it's just restricting the motor. And I'm sorry, guys. Give me one.
What Joe's getting at here is, and I've experienced that myself. You know, when you're pulling a hill or something and it goes into some sort of regen or whatever. I'm not totally up on the technology of how all of it works. I know there's 3 different stages. Some part at the turbo, and then you got your regen, and then you got your DEF system. But man, when that thing kicks in, you lose so much horsepower. You're climbing a hill and you're just dropping gears left and right, wondering what's going on with the thing.
Not to mention stinking.
Oh, what a smell,
anybody
huh?
has never been behind somebody that's climbing a hill, you don't have enough power to pass them, and oh my God, you just sit there in the steering wheel just gagging like.
Yeah, you get to smell that. I've driven trucks with the systems on there too, man, with the grass burners. I don't know about you, the old Max. I used to drive these old MH model Max way back in the early 90s. And they had grass burners on them, and that's where you wipe the dash with a white cloth and it comes back black. You blow your nose and you left it black, you know. But I still see, man, some of these trucks with these new systems, they still get a lot of soot and stuff inside them trucks. Not as bad though. Nowhere near as bad. I'll guarantee you.
Well, that. A lot of it too comes back to that ceramic plate that's in the exhaust. You know, those right there have to be cleaned pretty regularly. And whenever your truck's starting to regen quite a bit, you know, that's a pretty expensive and keen to do. You know, is to have them baked out and cleaned. You know, and a lot of companies that's one thing on maintenance that they just never keep up with.
That's true. That's true. That's not cheap, especially if you got a fleet of 50 trucks or go with the big company he was talking about earlier. You know, thousands of trucks.
Hey, John.
Yep.
John.
Yeah, Arlene.
Hey, whatever Bill Weaver had put on his truck, so he don't have to do all that, maybe once a year or something like that. That company, I can't even think of the name of it, but they put it on for him right in the parking lot over there at Papa John's at the Matt Show, and he loves it. So, and that was his brand new truck he had that put on. So he didn't have to deal with all that.
Ask him about this.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it. We've had the guy on Matt's show 2 or 3 times, and I'll be honest with you, I can't remember the name, but it's a good product, and it didn't cost that much from what I understood. They came all the way down from up north and went out there in the snow and the sleet and put that thing on his truck. So they done a good job for him.
Snowing. You said at Matt's? I don't remember any snow or sleet. I remember it being cold, though. Wow, was it cold?
Well, I don't know where you were, but that driver fell off the truck and died.
What? Oh, you know what? There were some trucks. I remember coming in the morning and they had a thin layer of snow on the drop decks, flatbeds. So you're right.
John, where were you staying at?
Some snow. Oh.
Where were you staying at?
Where was I? I was there. I don't remember the place we stayed at. It was about 10, 15 miles outside of town. I don't remember.
Well, I got there on a Wednesday, and we had a foot of snow. I got there on Wednesday. And that driver was cleaning his truck off, and he slipped off the truck and fell on his head, and he died.
Holy crap. What a way to go, huh?
Right.
That's awful.
It's really sad in a lot of cases because, nobody ever really likes to explain too much about how many trucks, for instance, that have just all of a sudden burnt up.
Hey,
remember the wiring systems?
Well, yeah. I mean, the wiring systems, basically, because in the early times, whenever I can only tell you, we've had the atrocious amount of problems with at least 10 or 15 of our trucks. One of them was mine, and where the ELD systems were they're non-functional. They were not working properly. And that right there, I've even heard from some people how an ELD system had actually burnt a truck up. A couple of them.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
I know. I have a friend. I think she's had a couple of times a wiring system burn up in her ELD. She's scared to fire it up anymore. She's like, I'll just run paper. I'm not going to do it anymore. It's costing me $1,100 every time it happens. And I'm like, well, I don't know what the fine is, but I wouldn't want to keep burning my truck up either. Sooner or later, you might set it on fire or burn out your ECM or who knows what.
A lot of it, too, is the DEF and stuff. The exhaust and all that right there is cranking up the heat so much. I mean, I've literally had my cooler sitting on the floorboard of an International, and it melted to the floor mat. That's how much heat.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen the covers on those DEF systems that you see them rusting. When they get so hot, they start rusting and corroding, and all the outer I don't know if it's laminate or the chrome plating or whatever is peeling off. I don't even know if they'd hold paint if they get so hot.
Well, on the earlier models, when they first started coming out with them on 2010 and up, then a lot of the corner pipings, because of the heat, I mean, those things put out a lot of heat when they're regenning. And even in some cases, like in certain Peterbilt models with the pack car engines on them, which is even more ridiculous, is that they only work out of one stack. Even if they have dual stacks on those trucks and they got a pack car motor on them, you're only going to have your exhaust coming out from your passenger side, and that's it on the pack car models, because they plug the Y pipe going to the driver's side. Well, we got a caller. Let's bring him on in.
Yeah, you got 3 callers. First off, you got Matthew. I'm going to bring him in. I don't know what happened to this board that didn't pop up. Good evening, Matthew.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Well, Good evening, Matthew. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well. So, hey, I just wanted to jump in here and make two comments about 2 separate issues that you guys have been talking about. Number one, I think it's, although some people think that it's crazy to think this way, if you just stop for a few moments and throw all the noise outside, you throw it away and you think about it for a moment. When you're talking about the hacking abilities for the ELDs, people have to really kind of think a little bit further. And, John, what you were reading out of the FMCSA book, they're hiding their agenda in plain sight. And what I mean by that is they are making it known that they are covering their asses when these issues do arrive, when they, if someone was to hack into something and it did cause some kind of either fatalities or damages of some sort, it's the FMCSA that is literally covering their hindquarters in that instance to make sure that, they can literally go say, see, we actually posted this and published this in our manual here. So, unfortunately, what a lot of people are not thinking is the next step ahead. They're not necessarily invading your privacy as much as they are invading your wallet. And what I mean by that is when this happens and this hacking starts to transpire, and I believe that most people think that at some point it will, there will be this miraculous savior, if you will, that will now cost an additional cost. It will be an additional cost on top of the ELDs for the cybersecurity. Now, the cybersecurity industry is into the billions and billions and billions of dollars. And if you don't think for a half of a second that this has all been pre-planned so that it can take that dollar even further to continue this, people really do need to kind of rethink. So that's issue number one. The second issue I just want to address is you guys were kind of talking about capacity and driver shortages and, you know, the driver to load ratios. There is something that is so plain to see that, you know, it kind of behooves me sometimes that they are able to cause this type of mass hysteria when they start promoting, and it goes on multitude of different media outlets, and that's why I think people begin to believe it. But if you just stop, and this is for every single driver out there listening, okay, just stop for a moment. When they start to tout that they are today short 60, 70, 80,000 drivers in the industry, that is a fallacy. It is false. It is not true. And it's completely proven that it's not true because every single day, ladies and gentlemen, if that were the case, that would mean that today 60, 70, 80,000 loads are still sitting somewhere on a dock. There are truckloads of lettuce and carrots and spinach rotting away because no one was there to pick them up. And that means that yesterday there were 60, 70, 80,000 loads. And the day before that, 60, 70, 80,000 loads. Tomorrow there will be 60, 70, 80,000 loads. It is an absolute fallacy. There is no driver shortage. Okay? This is not a capacity issue, ladies and gentlemen. This is a money issue. And I have said this before. Mm-hmm. It is kind of ironic, if you will, and I use that term quite loosely when I say ironic, when a shipper is offering $3,000 to move a load and they can't get it, and the brokers will come back and they will blame it on a capacity issue. But the moment that that shipper is willing to pay $3,700 for that load, the angels begin to sing, the clouds all open up, and the bright lights come from the heavens, and miraculously out of nowhere there is an available truck that appears ready to pick up that load for $3,700. This, ladies and gentlemen, is in fact the truth. You all know it. It would be impossible that 60 to 70 or 80,000 loads every single day around this country are not being picked up. If that were the case, you can be damn sure that there will be an awful lot of additional companies making significant pushes to release the ELDs. The ultimate motive behind this is very plain to see. When you go on to every other load board, the DAT boards or the internet truck stops, they allow you to post your truck. That, to me, is the most detrimental thing that a truck driver can do when it comes to keeping rates at respectable levels. And why I say that, when you post your truck, you are giving every single broker, anybody out there that's trying to find a truck, you're giving them all of the tools that they need to be able to decipher whether or not they can drive that rate down into the toilet or they're going to wind up having to pay a respectable wage based on the number of trucks that are posted. If there are 2 or 3 or 4 trucks posted and it's a reefer load in a particular area, they know that there's a good chance they're going to wind up having to pay up. If there are 75 or 150 reefer load or reefer trucks rather in that area, they understand that the averages are working in their favor. They're going to get somebody to take it for $1.90 or $1.75 a mile because the laws of averages are working in their favor. There's 150 trucks out there. They're going to get one of them to take it for a lower rate. They're going to play each one of you against yourselves. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not a capacity issue. That is a money issue. And the moment that people truly understand this and they open their eyes and they do not get confused with all of the other nonsense, with all of the media outlets, because no one is really reporting on anything. They're copying that report that they got from either the ATA information or what. They're taking that information and copying it. No one is actually reporting on it. Journalism and reporting is dead in this country. It's all about hearsay and what they can get and how fast they can get that hypersensitive information out to the public so that they get more readership to their media outlet. Ladies and gentlemen, trust your own thought process. Trust your own intelligence. Stop and think for a moment. If they were 60,000 trucks short today, that would mean 60,000 loads are not being picked up. What they are doing is this. They are trying to turn the leverage back in their favor. And what I mean by that is maybe the number of truck drivers is, in fact, reducing. That could be absolutely true, but it's nowhere near as large of a number as they're putting it out there. But they see the trend. So what they're doing is they're trying to get the laws of average back into their favor. Again, pitting you drivers against yourselves, because now they want to make sure that instead of only having 2 or 3 reefer trucks in that area, they want to have 150 trucks in that area. They don't care if the other 149 sit and wait for 2 days or 3 days or however long it takes to find another freight load. They don't care. They want that freight load taken, and they will get and find the carrier who is willing to take it for the lowest prices. So they are literally putting all of this propaganda out there, telling everybody that there is a carrier shortage, and there isn't a carrier shortage. There isn't. It's impossible to be 60,000 trucks short today in this marketplace. That is absolutely true, because it couldn't happen.
They base that on the revolving door effect, where drivers keep bouncing from job to job and stuff like that. So they try to fabricate it off from that. If I'm not mistaken.
No, you are 100% correct. So my point is that means that driver didn't necessarily leave the trucking industry. They left that truck company.
Correct.
Okay.
And the other thing is they don't have to have a driver shortage. They just have to believe. They have to get you to believe there is one. Just like those trucks.
That's exactly right.
They don't have to have 150 trucks there. They just got to get the guy that's bidding on the load to believe there's another 150 trucks that want that same load to bid him down.
Correct. And that's all I'm asking is that drivers literally stop for a few minutes, and instead of being the recipients of nothing but a bunch of BS that gets regurgitated, and it's almost like a mass hypnosis. Okay? Drivers think that because they see it in 3, 4, 5, or 15 different media publication trucking related outlets that it must be true. But again, all you have to do is take one step outside for a moment and clear your head and look at the issue in reality. If that were the case, you can be damn sure that if 60,000 loads were sitting on docks every single day, you start getting into 60,000 loads a day, you're damn near, you're in the million plus loads on a monthly basis that are sitting there every single month. And there's no way for them to catch up. It can't happen. So stop for a moment.
It would be detrimental if it was true.
Yeah, just stop for a moment and look for yourselves. Just open your eyes and see exactly what is really, truly happening. And there are my comments, guys. You cannot allow. When you see the DAT boards or the internet truck stops and they put these numbers out there that say that in the northeast region of the country last week the reefer rates were $2.15 per mile, I'm sorry, that's a lie. That is an absolute lie. I don't care. That's what the brokers paid. That's not what the rate that was actually being paid.
That's one of the reasons and what I was really trying to say about, for instance, we're at a 4% GDP growth. Supply and demand is realistically all there at its all-time high. The truck market right now, like I said, I'm here at Joplin Peterbilt, and here they are. They're selling trucks left and right. So the question would be is it the fact that are we poor negotiators, or are we not just standing up for ourselves in the way where we should be standing up for every single dollar that we drive by every waking second, or do we continue to just allow ourselves to be placated and just be fed on the van lane rates and say, well, that's all it is, that's what I'm going to get paid, and I'm just going to make it work? What do you think?
Again,
it starts with the placation.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. You guys are 100%
but it also,
right. Look,
poor negotiating has a lot to do with it too. If you believe in what you're being told and you're being placated to believe that, then you're not going to be a very strong negotiator because your mind is set that it's already set for failure. You've accepted it.
Well, we got another caller on the line. I don't want to bring too many people at the same time, but I definitely want to. Our time is going to.
You can mute me out.
No. We don't want to mute you out at all, but we definitely want to get some people on board. Who would be next coming on board, Miss Arlene?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what. Matthew, you're going to have to call Block Talk because both John and Joe push one, and I've had them up at the top. Well, every time somebody wants to talk and they push one, it goes above them. So I don't know what's going on with that. That shouldn't happen. But anyway, we got five people on here. Two of them were the characters from the Wednesday night show. I have Joe Alfredo, and I have someone else on here. I have no idea who it is. So whoever this is might have a question for you guys. So you want to take him, and then we'll bring in the other ones?
Sure, why not? We'll do it up. That way we keep things moving and flowing.
Okay, who we got here? 0175.
Hey, this is Ross with the American Truckers' Rights Group. How's it going?
Good, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
How you doing, my brother?
I knew as soon as I heard his voice.
I just, guys, I was sitting here listening, having a good laugh at you guys, and you guys are making me feel really old. My truck, I actually did the math on it. My truck is 24 years old.
You got a good one, huh?
Yeah, well,
nice.
we're talking about engines and all that good stuff. What this stuff you were talking about, electronics and DEF, and I don't know any of that stuff. I'm sorry. That's all.
I wish
that's
I did.
All after me.
I often think I want to buy another truck, and what I look at are like early 1990s mechanical motors. I'd love to get my hands on a nice 3406B Model Cat, 13-speed transmission. You know the works, but
well, that's
I
the
think
difference
that would be
between you, John. I mean, that's one of the differences right there because, I mean, you're a company driver by choice and you're a lease-on driver by choice, okay, because you're standing up for yourself. You're saying, no, I'm not going to be under this type of ridiculous system. That's why we call you Freedom John over there, New England Freedom John, because, I mean, that's where I take great respect on you when it comes to that. You stand up for yourself. Now, you made that choice, and, it wound up being pretty good for you. And that's where the bridge needs to be built between company drivers as well as even owner-operators, because owner-operators, yeah, we got stake. I understand that, okay? But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we as owner-operators understand the process and the procedures of what many drivers themselves would have to go through for the companies and what they work underneath. Every company has almost a different system. And so then some people would say, I got an AOBRD system, which they don't even know they have, and I've been running this system for so many years, it's not a problem for me. Well, you're in a unique business, or you're in a type of line of work where the majority of your freight is mainly drop the hook, or your protocols are different. But there's a lot of drivers that complain because they're sitting 5, 6, 7, 8 hours at the dock, and they're being coerced by their dispatch. Am I fair to say that?
I would know personally. I know when anytime I felt coerced, boy, do I fight back. I let them have it, but it's been a long time for me.
Well, because within your rights and within the law, and you don't need a machine to really dictate you. when it comes to the law that's already existed way beforehand. Am I correct?
Right. Well, I don't answer the machine, dude. I won't leave you a message. If I call and I get a machine to leave a message, forget about it. If you didn't pick it up and answer it, you're not hearing from me.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll give you the jerk.
Joe, we got 24 minutes. We have 24 minutes. Can we get Joe Alfredo in here?
Please do, yeah. Let's get him in.
And then I'll bring in... hi, Joe. I'll bring in Weaver and...
we know the invaders. Yeah, we know the invaders. Don't worry about it. We'll be having a good time with them.
I hear Joe Alfaro here.
What's going on, my brother Joe?
How you doing, Joe?
All right. Hey, listen, man. I was listening in for a very long time, and you were talking about the business end, and I want to reiterate a little bit about what Matthew Kane was saying, because I was kind of thinking along the same lines. There's huge manipulation in the trucking market. The numbers are being manipulated. We both know that under the you mentioned before CFR 49.37, I believe.
371.
In the transparency, 371.
Yes.
In the transparency, if you look into the transparency of the brokers and what the shippers are paying, or you look at a shipper board, because there is such thing as a shipper board for those that don't know. You can see more or less what these van rates are paying. And being that I was formerly an independent operator myself, now company driver, as some of you know, I got out of the business, and I had my own personal reasons for that. But I still study the markets. I still love the world of business. I've always been somebody that's been into business itself. I think that I don't like more government, but in this case, I think that just like the trucking, the loads are being manipulated, and what we haul the loads for are being manipulated. It's kind of like on the same grounds as what was going on in Wall Street back in the days, where you had people selling the penny stocks and selling them for way more than they were worth and blowing up the company. And, and you got this situation right now where these numbers are being manipulated. The information that's out there is being manipulated. And we need some kind of like a regulatory commission, just like the Security Exchange Commission, but for the trucking market. There really has to be some kind of government intervention, with our, I know a lot of people don't like the word government, but this is one of those cases where people are losing their trucks, people are losing their businesses, people are leaving the industry and going into, if they're able to and they still have money, they're going into other businesses. And it just so happens that we happen to be the only business, where a broker sets a price on our line of work. Every other service related to our business has a price. The tires have a price. The mechanical the hours that you hire a mechanic for has a price. The parts have a price.
I can agree.
And
I can agree to a certain extent. Yeah, I can agree to a certain extent. I want to be very fair, because you know how I am. I mean, I'm a very strong constitutional conservative when it comes to this. Any type of an expansion among government itself that we have seen over and over and over again. I mean, we have well over 50 different departments already as it is, and we've had the FMCSA nearly for 18 years. We have the Federal Trade Commission. Have they improved anything when it comes to even any other? I mean, look at even the agricultural industry. Look at the Environmental Protection Agency. I mean, we create these departments, and one of the things is that then they become an overruling and overbearer. They'll take authority, and it's like as if when they get a sip of wine, they'll get that sip of wine and they just can't get enough of it. They'll continuously keep drinking it. So, yeah, maybe now would be good at this point, but later on in about 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years from now, what would the industry be with another embodiment of power rather than we ourselves? When it comes to we ourselves, that could really fix the problem within ourselves even a lot faster if we could help educate, if we could help advocate, if we could tell people basically to stop doing this over and over again. I know it's been done years. I know OIDA has done it for many years. But the problem with what OIDA had done, and I'm not bashing them, I appreciate them. But the truth of the matter is they have not really emphasized on what they mean by say no to cheaper freight. They haven't really taught many of the members, as well as even the trucking community, what they mean by stop taking cheap freight. And so the greatest words among Ronald Reagan, government is not the resolve. It doesn't resolve the problems. We,
not
the
the
people,
answer.
have always, we have always been, we, the people, have resolved the problems among ourselves, regardless of who has even been president, regardless of who has been in Congress. They lay out these problems, and we, the people, are the only ones that always figure out a way either to circumvent or to work our businesses or continue to thrive. But we're losing that grasp because we're becoming more and more of a codependent society. If you look at it by its generation, it continuously comes in. We're becoming more codependent on its technology, where technology should realistically benefit us as a tool rather than taking over our job.
Joe, well, that's where my thought process is. I understand where everyone uses the term, we need a revolution in the industry, but that's really, honestly, that's really not true. You need an evolution. It should be an evolution in the trucking industry. It needs to evolve. Okay, so when you start to talk about revolution, that's a very, very emphatic way. And Joe Alfaro, I mean, I respect you with everything, sir. But the reality of this is that we really don't need more government. What has to happen is there are players that, and for me, that's my business, are the brokers. They are the ones who are dictating the marketplace, and they have no skin in the game. Okay, they don't. They get they really truly do not have enough skin in the game. They could close their doors and walk away from their desk and their computer and their fax machine in their basement if they wanted to tomorrow and go work at Arby's. Okay? You guys are still stuck with a truck and a payment, okay? And those people are the ones who are dictating the rates in the industry. There will never, and I will reiterate this, whether I own myrightload.com or not, okay? There will never, ever, ever be a leveling off or an even playing field as long as the truck drivers allow an outside entity with no skin in the game to dictate how much money you're going to make on each one of those runs. And that is just as clear as I could possibly – that's my firm belief in it. And, again, I think if everybody just sat down and took a step backwards for a few moments, you have to remember people are bitching about the brokers, everybody's saying all the bad things. That's fine, okay? Everyone has their position, but what needs to happen? I mean, if
within
everyone
ourselves,
you're taking away the ability of a free market by interjecting even further regulations into it. You're decreasing the ability for a free market for you as a truck driver to earn a respectable wage.
We got
the last thing you want to do is throw more government.
I'm sorry. We got 2 more callers, and I know it seems like I think they're infiltrating our airwaves and probably driving Miss Arlene crazy. Can we just bring them on board if that's possible, Miss Arlene? I'm sorry.
Wait, Joe, 1 second first. Could you do a plug for LabWorks real quick?
Yes, I can, actually. I'm sorry about that. We have a new sponsor that will be coming in, and we greatly appreciate LabWorks USA. My friends, this is among very important part among your drug consortium compliance. You have to always make sure you comply among that drug consortium, especially within your first year when you obtain your authority. Guarantee you, my friends, whatever state you are from, the DOT will definitely be knocking on your door to make sure that you are within your complete drug consortium compliance. A great group out of Portland, Oregon, nationwide availability, my friends. They have 2 package deals that are available to you, my friends, at $49.99, as well as even $59.99, if I'm correct, for more than 2 members among your drug consortium compliance. Please, my friends, give them a call. We can greatly appreciate them. I will get the telephone number in 1 second because John just got me off guard on that one. So if you have that telephone number right in front of you, can you please bring that out, because I got this truck that's driving me nuts right now with this check engine light, and I wasn't prepared to do that today. I thought we were going to do that next.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
I forgot about that. You can tell I'm new at this.
Yeah. Either way, my friends, Miss Arlene,
it's labworksusa.com.
Yes.
Is the website, labworksusa.com.
Okay. We'll have their telephone number to be able to bring out, and I do apologize for that, my friends. Either way or not, we do have 2 more callers that we want to bring on board, Miss Arlene. Can we bring them on board?
Yes, if Taylor's done playing his Tetris game. I had both of them on, but I had to shut. One was coughing and one was playing Tetris. Good evening, gentlemen.
That's what that was. I thought somebody was playing the harp.
What's going on?
Who's the fancy pants playing the harp?
Am I really live on the radio?
You are officially live, and I'll tell you, I can see the infiltration going on in the background with the little dream music that you have going on.
And I have been trying to get in. I've been calling in for months. I'm so excited right now.
I appreciate that.
I can't.
Is that you?
I've been sitting here on hold for 3 hours.
I think Tay-Tay's back there playing with his hot dogs or something. I hear a bunch of dinging going in the background. Hey, Joe,
1 hour and
show, man.
Is that his new song?
It was 1 hour and 46 minutes, Taylor, and you were 1 hour and 38 minutes, Bill.
Well, I'm telling you, at 2 cents a minute, boy, it's costing a lot of money.
Yeah, JoJo will have to mail us a check just for coming in and throwing our support. Man, great show, though, JoJo.
No, I tell you what you got to do.
Caroline and I are really enjoying it. So.
You guys gouge the brokers for that extra 2 cents a mile, okay, to cover up that loss.
That's what we're going to do. I'll tell you one thing I was really proud to hear was Matthew coming in and clarifying on this alleged driver shortage and truck shortage, because he's exactly right. Could you imagine the true cost of a head of lettuce at the store if that were happening, or a gallon of bottled water? And he's exactly right, and that's what nobody's been listening to through all this. They believe all this media hype put out in many of the trucking publications, and some of them have caught on to it and don't participate in that belief. But that's exactly what they need us all to believe. That way they keep rates suppressed. We feel lucky to get a load out here.
I agree.
And Taylor, I'm assuming that you were the one playing a little game and music going on out there in the background.
Oh no, I was just sitting there getting me something to eat at the Denny's.
Are we taking things too seriously, or do we need to put a joke here and there for you? Or do we have a high school available?
I just think y'all caught me at the casino, and I didn't want nobody to know.
I hope Carol Ann's not listening by any chance. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
bro.
she actually has been listening, JoJo, but I threw my headset on because having you on speakerphone, you'd be getting too much background noise. I'm actually at home right now enjoying some HOME time. Which reminds me, I need to publicly thank my sponsor, Carol Ann Weaver. I just want to publicly thank her for putting up with me. I don't know how she does it. She just had her birthday the other night where she is recuperating.
I want to thank you guys, man. You guys, congratulate you guys on a great success and a great show. It sounded really good. I didn't want to tune in to learn anything, but I did learn something. So that's always a plus when you learn something and you don't want to learn nothing. But
we bombarded too much
that's how I became a
information.
truck
is what I should
driver.
say.
So.
Yeah, that's how I became a truck driver, man. I went to school all those years. I didn't want to learn anything.
Well, as truck drivers, we already know everything, don't we?
I'm sorry, I
I'm
didn't
pretty
miss
sure. I said, as truck drivers, we already know everything, don't we?
Well, we like to think we do. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh, if you don't, just sit down and eat a meal at the Horseshoe Bar at the Petro, and everything you don't know, you'll be told while you're sitting there by somebody. So
it won't take long
that
either,
recently.
Right?
Yeah,
I did that recently,
and I had a guy about 3 years ago that I don't know why I was the one he picked out to talk to, but he started to come over and started telling me about the Area 51 being such a big secret, but the government's making it look so we don't know the real secret, which is Area 52. And he went into having many presidents' phone numbers in his cell phone, and he's on red alert all the time, and he's worked with the aliens and the UFOs. And what's bad about it, I damn he believed what he was saying. This story so many times he believed it. So, but it turns out he was a broker, so he's used to lying. So.
Well, I want to be very fair.
Should have known.
I want to be very
First
fair.
clue that he was a broker, he's lying, right?
Well, I want to be very fair because thanks, of course, to my great support out there. I can never be more appreciative enough, but I want to make sure I be able to really appreciate our great sponsor, MyRightLoad.com, my friends, and as well as our new sponsor that will be coming out on the Hammer Lane Broadcast Network that will be called LabWorks USA, my friends. Like I said, very, very important, especially for those who fill out for their new compliance and their new authorities. I guarantee you, my friends, you're going to get you're going to get audited, and auditization for your drug compliance consortium is very important to follow by, because that right there could bring you right out of the water.
386 years.
Okay. I have a telephone number for LabWorks USA, my friends, is 888-582-8001. Can never really thank them for coming on board the Hammer Lane Broadcast and the FUBAR Radio Network show, and for all of our great brothers and sisters that are out there, my friends. Especially, we're going to probably have to check out Mr. Bill Weaver and Mr. Taylor Barker, not just only by their urine sample, but maybe for mental capacity as well. So what do you think?
Well, I listened to the show from the beginning, and I heard the part about the no bash zone. Okay, now the way my mind works here, okay, here you are advertising for somebody, expecting to get them some customers, and you can't even get us bashed. Not one comment.
Nope.
Hey, we give you permission to bash us.
The LabWorks bunch might be surprised to know that I just had the oil sample run on my Peterbilt, and they said it was the first time ever that they had Daylo 400 XLE 1030 test positive for marijuana.
I'm telling you, you're going to have to stay out of Colorado, Bill.
you know that.
Oh man, no, I'm excited. I'm excited, JoJo. Y'all doing a great job. I'm glad to hear that LabWorks USA is on board with you. That's pretty awesome, man.
Well, we could never be more appreciative to them, and we could definitely be more appreciative to everybody out there. And I guess while Mr. Taylor Barker is trying to actually hit on a number over there, we hope he is actually either rolling dice or he's actually, I'm not sure what he's doing right now, but in any case, are you winning there, Taylor, by any chance? Are you winning? Or are you losing? Are you up or you're down? What do you got? Black or red? Do we need to make a prank phone call to your mother? He's not
I think I hear a bingo guy calling the number.
I think he's actually hit a number, and he's probably not even going to be coming back on the road or something like that, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, either that or here in a minute you're going to hear that sigh of disparity. He'll be asking us for $20 to get home on.
That or he dropped the soap in the shower.
Taking up a collection.
Oh. Well, like I said, we are about, maybe 5 minutes away from being towards the end of the show, Miss Arlene, by any chance? Or we?
Yes, and I want to ask Mr. Weaver something. What was that thing that you had put on your truck down at the Matt show?
They actually put on two things, but the thing you were referring to that helps with your diesel particulate filter staying clean and such, it's cleanairfleet.com is their website. But it's a Clean Air Fleet fuel additive dosing system, and you don't necessarily have to have a dosing system. It is fuel, but this additive is absolutely incredible. It's gained me about almost a half mile per gallon fuel mileage, and they don't even advertise it to do that. It's done that for me, and I run the MX 13 PACCAR engine in my 579, and it's done that for me. But it keeps all your sensors clean, keeps your particulate filter burned out and stuff to keep these problems from arising. But it also it cleans everything from algae in your fuel tanks through your fuel lines, injectors, turbo, everything through your system. It just it functions well to keep all that clean and burned out. And it's pretty amazing additive, and it's not not near as expensive as most additives, but I'm actually gaining money running it in the fuel mileage I'm getting. So.
Okay, you got 3 minutes. No, 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 56 seconds.
All right. So if we have a closing song by any chance lined out over there, Miss Arlene?
Yes, we do. I just gotta get up here and play it. Are you ready to go?
We're about ready to go. I just want to make sure we have enough time to play that song if we can, and then I just want to really thank everybody for. I know this first show. I mean, look, every show is just the way how it is, my friends. We really appreciate everybody's patience, especially with my truck being in the shop and being in and out. I want to thank everybody for coming on board. We can never be more appreciative to all you guys out there. Just be safe, my friends, and God bless each and every one of you.
Oh, and don't forget that they can go to the group page, FUBAR America, on Facebook, and tell us what you think, or boost your own FUBARs if you wish.
Okay, guys, y'all have a good night. Safe riding.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.